brothers and sisters, non-binary cousins, comrades, friends, good evening. This is the 18th of September edition of A Quiet Rage. I had intended to film an episode on the 10th of September, but as you no doubt are aware, a tragic event occurred on the 10th of September. A tragic assassination. A death by gun violence in a country that has seen far too much of it. So I wanted to wait. I didn't feel that that day was a good day to say anything necessarily on this channel. I did on my personal Facebook, I posted something that got some conversation going, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But the rush to assign motive, to assign gender and sexuality and political affiliation to the shooter was ubiquitous. Anybody and everybody had a theory, had an opinion on it, and things got crazy. Some people said some things that they've had to walk back since. Some people said some things that they still haven't rightly atoned for. The episode I wanted to make, I still will. I just don't know when. Possibly next week. We'll see. Of course, the tragic death I'm speaking of is the assassination of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Now, it might maybe surprise you that I'm categorizing his death as tragic. After all, if you know anything about his stance on just about anything, and you know anything about my stance on just about anything, you probably guess correctly that I disagreed with the late Mr. Kirk on a great many things. I want to make it very clear that yes, the title, the name of this channel is A Quiet Rage, but in no way do I support violence for solving problems. I don't condone, I don't hint at, I don't wink at, I don't intimate, I don't endorse violence to solve problems in a civilized society. We should be using our words, our money, our votes to solve problems in this civilized society. That's why usually at the end of each episode I will give some sort of organization to which I think we can give our time and our treasure, or something we can do, some way that we can get involved in our local communities. I am furious that we reelected Donald Trump to the presidency, a man who has a laundry list of, I won't even say flaws, but disqualifying characteristics about his Yes, I am furious. But I wish we lived in a country in which Charlie Kirk was still alive, so I could disagree with him to his face. The one thing that's been said of him, and I don't know if I haven't seen the entire catalog of what he's said or written, but it has been said of him that he was a champion of free speech. Well, I'll take him at his word, and I'm going to disagree with him, and I'm going to tell you that I disagree with him and why. I don't understand why his party, the Republican Party, MAGA especially, is furious with people for disagreeing with him. Just because you're dead doesn't mean you're wrong. And if you say things bravely and repeatedly and with a smile into a camera with a microphone in your hand, people are going to disagree with you, and it's our right to do so. So I posted on my personal Facebook the quote from him about how some gun deaths, in his opinion, I'm paraphrasing, some gun deaths every year are worth it. He used those words, are worth it to him to maintain our Second Amendment rights, which, in his words, help us maintain all the rest of our rights. I will post a video with, it's about a 3.5 minute video. I'll put it in the comments, or in the description rather, giving his full context. I disagree with him in a couple of ways. So he says, again, I'm paraphrasing, that the Second Amendment is not about hunting. It's not about personal protection, though that's important. It is about protecting yourself from a tyrannical government. It's just a fact that the United States, you are not going to protect yourself from the federal government with a firearm that you can purchase in this country. The U.S. Army has tanks and helicopters, and the U.S. Navy has Tomahawk cruise missiles, and the Air Force has strategic bombers, and the Marines have more guns than you have. We simply don't live in a world anymore, we haven't for some time, in which an armed citizenry is going to defend itself against a tyrannical government. The tool we have to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government now is our votes. So we got to maintain that. That's very important. Again, I could do a whole other episode just on that. He also made a point of saying that 50,000, he repeated the number 3 times in the video, 50,000 deaths, according to him, I haven't fact-checked him, occur as a result of motor vehicles in this country every year. I'll take him at his word. Sure. And that we don't expect to live in a country with 0 motor vehicle deaths, because we have decided that motor vehicles are worth the risk. Well, this is not a useful analogy, Mr. Kirk. I'm sorry. For a number of reasons. A car, when properly used, when properly operated, doesn't kill anyone. A gun, when properly operated, kills people. The purpose of the gun is to kill people. Yeah, you go practice, you shoot for marksmanship, but the whole point of shooting for marksmanship is to be able to effectively kill someone. It may be a member of a tyrannical government in his dream, but the point is to kill soldiers, to kill federal police officers, to kill. That's in his own, by his own theory, by his own admission. The point of a gun is to kill people. When properly operated, a gun kills someone. We have an entire federal organization that oversees the safety of motor vehicles in this country. You can't sell a motor vehicle in this country without proper seatbelts, without crumple zones, without airbags, without a backup camera. Did you know that? A backup camera is required standard safety equipment on motor vehicles sold in the United States. I think it's been that way for like 2 or 3 years now, at least. It just kind of happened. Nobody really put up a whole lot of fanfare about it. There's an entire government, a federal agency whose job it is to mandate better safety in motor vehicles. The automotive industry is all the time trying to outpace one another to make their vehicles safer for not just the operators and the occupants, but for everyone around them. The automatic braking to prevent hitting other objects, vehicles, and pedestrians. We're trying all the time to make vehicles safer. What is the gun industry trying to do all the time? They're trying to make their weapons more lethal. This analogy breaks down. It's not a proper analogy, Mr. Kirk. I'm sorry. It doesn't hold water. Again, I'll link his full quote. You can go have a look at it. He also talks about we shouldn't expect to live in a country where motor vehicle deaths or gun deaths are zero. And I agree with him on that. I do. I mean, you can try. That's just your goal. Our goal should be zero, with the understanding that no, we're never going to get there. We're not going to have a utopian society in which nobody ever dies by a gun and nobody ever gets run over by a car. But zero is still the goal. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do agree with him that it's foolish to expect that we will ever get there in our lifetime. Possibly ever. But we can still have that as a goal. Again, the right tried to tell us in the last week that he was killed for speaking. And we don't know that. We still don't know the motive. Again, going back to what I said at the beginning, this rush to know everything about the situation is misguided. And a lot of There's much we still don't know. The guy that's been arrested, he hasn't confessed to the police. As far as I know, I haven't seen any headlines saying he's confessed. The last thing I saw was he was not cooperating, probably on advice of counsel. The FBI has released a text message transcript that they claim is between the alleged shooter and his significant other / roommate, with whom he, obviously significant other, he was having a romantic relationship. Two things on the text messages. One, why is the FBI releasing that? Aren't you tainting the jury pool? Shouldn't we not be commenting on an ongoing investigation? Whatever happened to that? And two, I don't think of myself as a conspiracy theorist. I try to stay pretty level-headed about things. I try to but I've got a hard time believing that a Trump Justice Department with one, I've got a hard time believing that the Department of Justice is independent of this president, our president, the president of these United States, President Donald J. Trump. I have a hard time believing that the Department of Defense or Department of Justice is independent of this president. And he has stated as a goal that he wants to remove gun ownership rights from transgender individuals. So then his Department of Justice releases these text message transcripts, not screen captures, and I don't know if these have been corroborated by the roommate / significant other or not, who this roommate, according to the story, is transitioning from male to female, is a trans person herself. I don't, it's too convenient. I'm not sure that I buy that those texts actually are legitimate. I'm sorry. I don't trust anyone in this administration. I just don't. And that's not my fault. That starts at the top. He's not a trustworthy person, and I don't believe he hires people that can be trusted. And he's putting pressure on anyone and everyone that he can. Case in point, in the intervening time since the tragic death of Mr. Charlie Kirk, two people in media, in the spotlight, have said things on camera that have been of note. Jimmy Kimmel, late night talk show host, in his opening monologue made comment about MAGA world trying everything they could to score political points from this assassination, and which they have and continue to do, and showed a clip of the president the day that we found out, the day that the alleged shooter was arrested, and it was found out that his family, at least, is a MAGA family. And someone that Kimmel played a clip of someone in the reporter pool giving condolences to the president and asking, how are you holding up? And he said, oh, I'm doing just fine. Oh, by the way, over here, there's trucks arriving with equipment and materials to build this ballroom. And Kimmel joked that this is not the behavior of someone mourning the death of someone that they call a friend. And the FCC has leaned on ABC, who owns and syndicates Jimmy Kimmel's show, leaned on them and said, you're going to fire this guy or there's going to be consequences. So Jimmy Kimmel's show has been paused indefinitely. That's the last word that we have. Again, ABC has, if they want to pull Jimmy Kimmel's show, that's fine. It's being leaned on by the FCC, and the FCC being leaned on by Trump. And if you, I mean, you can try and tell me that that's not happening. But Trump has tweeted, and I will link a local news story about the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. And in the clip, they show a clip of Jimmy Kimmel with a tweet from the president saying Jimmy Kimmel's next. After this tweet came out after Stephen Colbert's show, after it became public they would not be renewing his contract after, I think, April of next year. And Trump said, Jimmy Kimmel's next. So then Jimmy Kimmel says something, and it's not really even all that. I didn't think it was controversial. I didn't think it was really in poor taste. I think what Trump said was in poor taste. He's being asked about his friend, a reporter trying to offer condolences, and he immediately like, oh yeah, look at this, because he had just found out that this guy may or may not be from a MAGA family, so now it's not useful anymore, so let's deflect. Anyway, so the second person on Fox News, Brian Kilmeade, in a conversation about, and I will link this clip in the description as well, in a conversation about an unhoused person stabbing a woman on, I think it was a subway train, unprovoked, and she bled out on the train and died. It's tragic, obviously. And Brian Kilmeade said that homeless people, unhoused people, should be given involuntary lethal injections. Not the person, not the perpetrator, which, again, we have a justice system, not a retribution system. So the perpetrator should be arrested, tried by a jury of their peers, and given, if found guilty, given a sentence commensurate with the crime. They should not be lethally injected just because Brian Kilmeade got a little mad on air. Now, has the FCC said anything to Fox News? Is Brian Kilmeade suspended? No, I'm sure he'll be on tomorrow morning. I would bet my paycheck on it. Matter of fact, he did apologize. His apology was an apology, whatever. I don't. If I had any sort of decision making responsibilities in an organization of that caliber, and someone on my air said something like that, they'd be on the street within the hour. But I've got standards and morals, so another thing that's very bothersome to me, the asymmetry of what's occurred in the last week. Following Charlie Kirk's death, his unfortunate, tragic murder, the president ordered the American flag flown at half-staff until Sunday evening of that week, last week. Charlie Kirk's body was flown on Air Force 2, the vice president's airplane, from Utah back to his home in Arizona. I'm fairly certain that's where it went. It flew on Air Force 2. And in a dystopian, very disturbing turn, and I will link this as well, NBC News has reported that military... I'm just going to read you the headline. Military leaders consider recruiting campaign centered on Charlie Kirk. Possible slogans discussed include, Charlie has awakened a generation of warriors. There's talk of using Turning Point USA chapters as recruitment centers. From the article, Pentagon leaders are considering a new recruiting campaign that would encourage young people to honor the legacy of assassinated conservative activist Charlie Kirk by joining the military. The idea would be to frame the recruiting campaign as a national call to service. That's disturbing to me. Charlie Kirk was not assassinated by an agent of a foreign government. That bugs me. Like, the U.S. military, the stated purpose of the U.S. military is to protect the United States from foreign enemies. Foreign and domestic. But not individual citizens. And there's this thing called posse comitatus. You're not supposed... It's illegal to... It's supposed to be illegal to use the military on American soil unless we are attacked on our own by a foreign adversary. That disturbs me. I hope they don't go through with that. Anyway, the asymmetry continues, though. A reporter asked the president, after he had ordered flags flown at half-staff, why he didn't order flags flown at half-staff for Melissa Hortman and her husband and their dog, who were murdered in their home by a person allegedly murdered by a person wearing a policeman's uniform who is a Trump supporter. Again, we're looking for motives. Looking for... The reporter asked him why he didn't order the flags flown at half-staff for a murdered Minnesota state legislator. Trump's response was, "Who?" And when reminded who she was, claimed that if Governor Tim Walz had asked him, the president, to fly the flags at half-staff, he would have done it. Except that, when asked shortly after Melissa Hortman's murder, her horrific murder, he was asked on Air Force One, I think it was, "Are you going to call the governor and offer your condolences?" And the president's response was, "Why would I call him? He doesn't know what's going on." I've said it before. This president is entirely devoid of real human emotions. He has no redeeming qualities. He's an awful person. Any normal human being would have offered condolences, even to the governor. "Someone in your state legislature was murdered. I'm very sorry. Is there anything you need? Is there anything I can do?" And when asked later, "Why didn't you fly the flag at half-staff?" any normal moral person would have said, "That's a good question. That was an oversight. We should have done that. That would have been the right thing to do." But no, it's somebody else's fault. It's the governor's fault. The governor should have asked for it. If he'd asked for it, we'd have done it. It's his fault. Blame him. There is a bit of a debate on the left. Is this president actually a fascist? Is what we're seeing actual fascism? Well, what we are seeing is tactics employed by fascism. What President Trump does are actions of a fascist. I don't think he actually believes in anything. I think he's an accidental nihilist, honestly. I think the only thing he believes in is himself and his own lies. So it's tough for me to say, yeah, he's a fascist, because I don't think he holds to an ideology, really, other than I'm awesome and everybody should do what I say. Which, is that fascistic? Yeah. I mean, it kind of is. But there's a bit of a debate amongst us on the left. Are we a fascist country now? Is fascism at our doorstep? It's not on the doorstep. I'm telling you right now. Fascism is in the kitchen, mixing a batch of cookies and a cocktail. Charlie Kirk was never elected to serve any position in this country. I'm sure if he was still alive and you asked him, is what you do in service to this country, he would say yes. But he's never served this country. Not really. He was a conservative commentator. He certainly helped this president get elected, but he didn't even serve in this president's administration. His murder was horrific and should not have happened. And I wish Charlie Kirk was still alive, but he's not. So to see a joke, not even really a joke, a comment made about this administration's reaction to his murder result in a high-ranking member of this administration leaning on the employer of that individual, Jimmy Kimmel, and getting him possibly fired. We'll see. There's still more to come. You have the asymmetry of the Brian Kilmeade comment about involuntary lethal injection for the simple crime of being an unhoused person. He made no distinction in that comment. He didn't say give him, he said give them involuntary lethal injections. Plural. Them. Unhoused people, not the perpetrator of the crime about whom they were speaking. And you have the asymmetry of Charlie Kirk is killed horrifically, and because he was a champion of the cause in favor of the president, he is exalted. In death, he's going to get the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He is being treated as a fallen hero. Whereas someone who has served this country, who was elected to office to serve in this country, she, her husband, and her dog are murdered in their own home, in what should be the safety of their own home, and they are forgotten about. These are the activities of a fascist regime. Forgetting, even laughing about, when your political opponents, or not even, they may not even be your opponents. Melissa Hortman never ran against the president. We don't know what she ever said. I haven't looked it up. Maybe she's made comments about the president, but it wouldn't. I mean, she served in the Minnesota state legislature. Nancy Pelosi's husband is attacked in their own home. The president's own son makes jokes about it on Twitter. It's all hilarious. If you're on the left and you are the victim of violence in some horrible way, whatever. You probably deserved it. It's a joke. We're going to laugh at you. If someone on the right is murdered, they are lionized. They are worshipped. They are lauded. But we're supposed to all be Americans, right? If a fellow American is the victim of horrific violence, we should, especially if we're in high office, held to a higher standard, we should treat them all relatively the same. And you can say that I'm overreacting, but this is not an isolated incident. This didn't happen in a vacuum. And I don't have enough red string and corkboard and push pins to do the Charlie Day web of how it all fits together. And it's being claimed, I've seen it. It's being claimed that we on the left have a violence problem in this country. Well, one of the people claiming that it's us on the left has a violence problem has actually directly threatened me with violence. So there's that. Anyway, we're over 40 minutes now. So what can we do? Well, you don't have to mourn Charlie Kirk. You don't have to feel bad that he's died. I wish he had not died. I really do. I feel bad for his kids because they're never going to really learn who he was. They will never get the opportunity to actually judge the character of their father. And that's unfortunate. I wish he wasn't dead. I disagree with him. To me, his death is not worth it for me to be able to own a gun. It's not. It's not worth it. Anyway. So, what can we do? Well, as you may know, as I've talked about in previous episodes, the Centers or the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and National Public Radio and Public Broadcasting have been defunded. Their federal funding has been removed. My local station lost nearly $2 million a year, and they just wrapped up their quarterly funding drive. I strongly urge you to donate some money to your local PBS or NPR station. Go to their website, donate something. Maybe you can't spare much. Maybe it's only $5, but if 100 people who are saying to themselves, I can't really spare much, but I can spare $5, all pitch in those $5, that's $500. It adds up. So I strongly encourage you to see if you got a couple of bucks you can donate to public broadcasting in this country, because we're going to need it. We're going to need it more and more. And as always, find your local Democratic organization and join and put up signs and go to meetings and meet people and gather in numbers and commiserate, because we need it. We're gonna keep needing it. So, if, like me, you refuse to honor somebody else's sacred cow just because they say that you have to, if, like me, you value free speech, if, like me, you are against violence to solve problems in a civilized society, then keep your powder dry and keep your quiet rage and do with it good works. Until next time, good night, my fellow Americans.